To get going, there it goes.
All right. So I believe we are live.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, everyone. This is Oksana and Larry from Be Well Buzz. And today we will be talking about actually a topic that is very close to my heart, as my mom is currently battling such a horrible disease, which is cancer. So today we're going to explore some options that might help you or someone that you know make this battle easier. So let's so I just kind of wanted to share with you and ask you what if you had other options? What if the people that are going through serious diseases have other options except cutting through your body, poisoning your body with crazy chemical cocktails, and just burning it instead of healing it? What if there was some other way? And even if it's not necessarily going to heal you completely, but it will make it process easier, would you opt in for that? Would you choose another way?
Yep. And in our search to find truth, we went far and wide and basically talked to as many people as we could. And today we're excited to speak with a couple people that we have been led to. Susan Hall and Robert Roy. Susan healed her stage 4 breast cancer and just recently released a book. It's called Ha, I Laugh in the Face of Cancer. Robert Roy has worked with over 65,000 people, helping them overcome cancer, tumors, diabetes, chronic fatigue syndrome, allergies, viral disease, fungal infection, parasites, and Morgellons, and the list goes on and on and on. And he does this utilizing a American Indian healing formula that he discovered, and we're going to chat about that, and you will understand where it came from and what it could do. I'm a firm believer that cancer is a deficiency in immune response. Genetic predisposition does have an effect on it metastasizing, but what we do within our body, how we process our thoughts and emotions, play a massive, massive role in the formation of cancer in the body. So with that, I want to welcome Susan and Robert. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us. Very nice.
Thank you. So at first I wanted to talk with you, Susan, just because I have seen your interview with one of dear friend of mine, Natalie from Mind Movies, and just in my crazy research in the last 2 weeks, you know, when doctors told me basically, hey, the conventional medicine have no options for you, so sorry, we can just, you know, keep trying different chemo treatments and maybe push radiation, but unfortunately there is no hope. So, you know, it kind of led me to, oh my God, what do I do? I went far and wide, as Larry said, into searching all different options. And Natalie has shared your story with me, so I thought this would be perfect to share your journey and your story with our audience and give people other options, that there's always another way. So if you don't mind sharing your story with us, that would be great.
Thank you, Oksana and Larry. I'm so grateful to have that opportunity to reach your audience. I would like to tell them about my book because I did have cancer. I had breast cancer, and at the same time, my brother, the late Dr. Jerry Buss, owner of the Los Angeles Lakers basketball team, he also had abdominal cancer, almost to the day we were both diagnosed. This presented a very interesting opportunity. He would choose to go conventional medicine, which he did, with a surgery that resulted in an error, a mistake, followed by another 9 additional surgeries and procedures to correct the error that was never corrected. He also did an aggressive chemo and radiation and everything else that conventional medicine does to us, everything, including the nutrition issue and PET scans, which actually cause the cancer, according to Mayo Clinic. So in any case, that's what he chose, and I couldn't do it. I've been involved with Young Living Essential Oils and Healthy Living for the last 25 years of my life, longer. And there's no way that I could do that. I was a buddy at the London Playboy Club in '67. A mastectomy is not going to happen to me. Not now, not ever. So I was faced with a dilemma, what to do. So in my experience in healthy living, I found that there's very little out there. I don't care what they say about the clinics, the naturopathic doctors, all of those things. Believe me, I looked into it, and I've spoken to many, many, many people who have not had good results with that. It's frightening. I don't care how good the nutrition is. If you don't have a program that can take care and kill that cancer, then I'm sorry, but I'm so sorry, but you're not going to have the outcome we must have to overcome this disease. So what did I do? I went home and prayed because I knew I was facing some difficulties here. I went home and I prayed. I sat down and I asked my God, what would you have me do to save my life? This was a quiet moment. This was a profound moment in my life. It was the defining moment of my living or dying, and I knew that. So I listened intently, and I didn't expect that I would hear something, but it was more of a prompting. And I got up and I walked over to my office, to a file cabinet. I opened up the file cabinet under C, and there was a cancer file that I put maybe 15 or 20 years ago in that file cabinet, forgotten all about it. This had been done after my mother and Jerry's mother had died of cancer, and horribly so. Horribly so. I would never forget that. So I began to look for cancer, I don't want to say cures, anything to help me with cancer, because it was in my DNA. I understood that. So I took out that cancer file, I opened it up, and there was a photo, a picture of a man. He had a hole in his chest, and next to him there was a table with 8 tumors on the table that he claimed had been taken out of his body using the American Indian herbal remedy 2 feathers. Well, that was pretty absurd and strange, and I thought, oh my gosh, what am I doing? But I had to remember something. That was the answer to my prayer. I had to be reverent. I had to be obedient. So I called the phone number wondering if it would still be available after 15 or 20 years for Robert Roy, who is also a guest on your show today. I called that phone number, and he answered. And I told him what was the situation. I ordered a jar immediately of the 2 feathers healing formula, and I was determined to do everything that Robert would suggest to me. And I began immediately. So as my brother started his conventional treatments, I began the 2 feathers healing formula. Within 14 days, one of the 2 tumors I had on my breast, marble-sized, hard like a marble, it collapsed. Now, I was taking 2 capsules internally every day. That was what I was doing. Very simple. Very, very, very simple. Astoundingly simple. On the 14th day, when that tumor collapsed, I was astounded and very happy. 3 days later, the second tumor also collapsed. That means I couldn't see it, I couldn't feel it. I knew it was in there, but where, I had no idea. So I consulted with Robert, who, by the way, took every call at any time, always. If he wasn't available, he always called me back. This man is, in my opinion, a saint. He saved my life. He is the purest heart I've ever known in my life. And I've been around the block a few times. I'm 68 years old, and I've been very much involved in life. So he remains at the top of that list, along with D. Gary Young, the founder of Young Living Oils, as my 2 mentors. All right, so in any case, what he suggested to me is that I then put a little bit of the formula on the tumor site where the tumors had been. I did that, and within a short period of time, a few days, a wound opened, and I was able to see the tumor underneath my skin, and there it was. It looked like a fungus, because I believe that cancer is a fungus. It was a gray-white color, it was big, and it hurt. It hurt a lot, but not as much as a mastectomy, and not as bad as chemo and radiation, no doubt about it. So it opened up the wound, I saw it, and I continued taking the internal medication twice each day. And so it was amazing, because within 2 weeks, the first tumor fell out. It was big. It was the size of a $1 pancake. It was the depth of 10 quarters, one on top of the other. And I had no way to measure that thing, so I had to use such a strange way, but I knew that would give you an idea of what I had. And then I preserved it. Every 2 weeks from that point forth, another tumor would fall out until 18 tumors in full had fallen out, and this is on my website, and they can see it after they follow your instructions on how to see these things, how to look at this thing, and how to get my book. Because my book is a chronicle on what someone can do to duplicate my efforts. I was cancer-free. within a few months, and I remain cancer-free today.
Yeah, that happened in 2012, right? I mean, it's such a remarkable story.
Yeah.
I was blown away, and I was like, no, everyone has to hear this.
Please, everyone hear it. I'm telling you, the only thing that's wrong that I can say about the Two Feathers formula is it's too inexpensive, it's too effective, and it's too easy. People won't believe that it's real, but I'm here to tell you it is real. And if you need proof of life, well, here I am.
It is an exceptional story, especially when we're programmed to believe that you have to go to doctors and do chemo, and it's a process.
The treatments, the suggested.
Yeah, the treatments are that you have to go through are extreme, and that you have to go through those extreme treatments, and there is no simple cure. And we're not saying that anything cures anything. We're saying that the body has the incredible potential to actually heal whatever disease or dis-ease that's happening within our system. And if you put the right things within your body to raise the immune system, then there's an ability for the body to heal.
That's the truth, Larry. I'm so glad you brought it up to your audience. That is correct. And the immune system is the way that we fight cancer. So tell me then, when they do chemo and destroy the immune system, how are we going to undo that? Well, I can tell you this. The Two Feathers Healing Formula helps with that, because since I've been doing it, I've never been sick again. I don't get colds or flus. I used to get them constantly. So my immune system is working very, very well. And all of this for under $150 a month. I'm telling you, without insurance, without a doctor, at home, I did this protocol, and I am cancer-free today. I hope your listeners will contact me. I'm available. Robert Roy is available, and I know you'll be talking with him in a moment.
Yeah, well, make no mistake, cancer is a big business, and once you understand that it is a big business and that money has to be made within that business, then you come to the understanding that there is no money in a solution, and the money is in continuing to perpetuate the nonsense of getting you back into treatments every time, and they are very expensive.
I know that to be true because the doctors that I went to that knew absolutely that I had been healed of this, and I can use that word because I was healed. That's my story. Yeah. That's my testimonial, and I have facts to prove it. They can't do that. Are you kidding? Those oncology doctors wouldn't have anybody in their office, and they're not going to do it. They're not open to it. They're extremely prejudiced against me, and I experienced the full circle of how prejudiced they are.
Yeah, and I mean, they look at it as just a miracle. A miracle doesn't always happen. It's just something out of extraordinary that you were able to do that, but it's not. I mean, they do an extremely great job at pushing fear inside you, and fear, that is one of those things that it is extremely damaging to your spirits. It is extremely damaging to your liver, according to Chinese medicine. That's where you store fear. And I believe, the more of that you pack inside your body just like, you know what, that's when it checks out, when that fear takes over and overcomes your body fully. And why? Why would you ever want to do that? So knowing this information, exploring, there's so many options. And my mom was telling me, actually, she's like, well, what are you going to do? What are we going to do now? It cannot be easy.
Your mom has a fabulous
understand that it cannot be easy.
Thank God your mom's got you, Oksana, because I'm so excited and hopeful for your mom. Okay, but I want to tell your listeners the end of the story about my brother. My brother suffered horrifically after all that he went through. He was in the hospital for the last 8 months of his life. It was horrendous, and he died on February 18th after the most horrific illness anyone would ever be put through. Bless him so dearly. Oh God, bless him.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's difficult. And I want to make sure that our listeners understand that we're not against conventional medicine, and we're not trying to, propagate some kind of conspiracy or anything like that. It is what it is. Conventional medicine does an amazing job of putting you back together if you're in a car accident.
Absolutely.
But our allopathic system is broken because it is a business. And, we're talking about this Two Feathers formula, and I think it's time to hear a little bit about it. So, yeah, Robert, thanks for joining us. And I'd love for you to share your story.
Well, as I listen, I'm always fascinated. I'm always just so fascinated to listen to someone's experience of working with compound. It's almost like I go into a state of being a child again, and I'm hearing the story for the first time. And it always gives me that same feeling. I get goosebumps all over my body listening to Susan right now. And it has been a blessing in my life, an incredible blessing to work with this formula. I was in Europe many, many years ago, a little story on the compound. I had just come back, and I'm talking many years ago. We're going back to 1979. And I had just come back from India. I had severe parasitical infestation. I had walked barefoot, which is a no-no in India, for a short period of time, and yet that's all it takes. And I had these tremendous parasitical infestation. I was traveling with a friend who had a skin cancer, and we attended a health fair in Amsterdam, and met all sorts of wonderful people. And there, at one point, we met this gentleman sitting, a Native American gentleman, sitting by himself. And I sat down and I mentioned to him that I was Native American also, and we started talking. And I told him about my condition because you could see it on me. I was not feeling well. And he brought forth these little jars, these little white plastic jars, and he said, you know, I'd like you to take this 3 times a day, and for your friend who he said I've already seen has a skin cancer, he said I'd like him to take it twice a day, and he said I think you'll get rid of the problem you're working with. And well, we thought it was very nice. And I had learned a lot in traveling. I had seen many miracles, many beautiful things. But this gentleman was so non-assuming. He was so humble. And we took, almost out of politeness, we took the jars and knew only his name, but didn't know where he came from in the United States. Went home and we worked with these formulas. Well, overnight, my friend's skin cancer just fell off his skin. He put it on there. By next morning, it was gone. And I started to have a detox reaction almost immediately. But within the time period of 6 weeks, I had every parasite that was in my body from traveling had come out of my body. It was gone. I felt better. I ate better. I felt like $1 million. And I thought, this is phenomenal. But at that moment, I felt like Jack and a Beanstalk. Here I was with these little jars, these little beans, but I didn't know who the person was who gave it to us at all. So skip forward a couple of years later, I come to the United States on a totally different mission, and I come to Reno, Nevada, and lo and behold, who do I meet? The same gentleman, not assuming, humble, standing there before me, and I thought, this can't be. Out of a country of over 300 million people, how do you meet someone twice, in such a large country? And he came to me and he said, I knew I would see you again. And he said, I also knew that, and I'm getting emotional. He said, I also knew that you were going to represent my formula. And so that's the day that I started working with this formula, not as a job. And he told me that. He said, if you look at it as a job, he said, you're going to fail. He said, if you look at it as your life, he said, then you will do very well. And, excuse me. So I've worked with it. And it's been tremendous. The most beautiful people I've met, the most incredible people I've met. And, we live in this, I call it America backyard. We live in a backyard where we've had the most beautiful people from all over the world have come here. And I've always in my heart held that America has a special spiritual destiny that we've not yet come into, because we've got to go through jumping through all these hoops and, discarding the things we don't need. People have to mature. They have to literally grow up, because we are like children. And we all have to grow up in our own ways. And so we're growing up. We're starting to learn that the things that we were told are true are not true. the things that we looked up to are not to be looked up to, but to actually to be looked down to. So we're all going to go through that. It's all going to pass. We're all going to come into this beautiful destiny, and we are going to be what God wants us to be. This country does have, the most beautiful destiny, most beautiful spiritual destiny. I've seen it. I've seen it in my dreams. I've seen it in my meditations, and I hold it dear to my heart. And so we're all playing our little roles. We're all doing our little things till we come into this greater destiny. And all the things we have to let go of, the agencies that are not helping us, the systems that are not helping us, they will all evolve. They're all going to evolve into something more better and more beautiful. Unfortunately, we have to suffer before we get there. So that's where we are now.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. We're in a complete agreement, and I really believe we're in a bit of a revival of sorts when it comes to plant medicines and understanding what the truth is. And the truth is that plant medicines can really help us. Now, I know the formula is proprietary and you really can't share the ingredients, but what can you share about it?
It is all natural. It is herbal, and it is the way Native Americans have always been close to the earth. They've always been close to that great spirit that we know as God. And God did give us a paradise. We have turned it into, we've soiled it. We've soiled the paradise that God has given us. We've soiled it terribly. And our work in the future will be making it clean again, cleaning up the mess that we've done, that we've made. So the formula is natural. It's as natural as nature is itself, and that's why it's so beautiful. And it's been put together in a way, the way that only God could guide a human being. And I of course, don't know the individual that put it together. I had this beautiful experience one time. There was a lady in Scandinavia, in Sweden. She got in touch with me. She had cancer. She wanted to use the formula. She was very, very psychic. She had been led to me. I mean, it was like there was no ifs and buts. She knew she had to find me. She did find me on the internet. She was led to me. She ordered the formula, started using it. And then she got in touch with me with this incredible story. She was using it one evening and she was about to go to bed, and then she went into a kind of altered state. She said she couldn't move. She got down on her knees and she just waited because she didn't know what was happening. And in this kind of dream world, and again, she wasn't in bed yet. So in this kind of dream world, she was brought to our continent, to America. She was brought to the continent, and she said she could see no cities when she approached the continent, so it was way back in time. And she was brought to a certain area in the country, and then she was brought into this kind of a building that was made of skins and wood, and it was very, very, very beautiful. And there was a council of elders that were sitting around, and there was this one medicine person, and he was working, and he was obviously being guided, and he was putting these herbs together, working very quietly, and finally, you could see that on his face, he had it. He turned to the elders, and again, I get emotional. I'm very sorry. There's some of these stories I have not recounted in a very long time. He turned to the elders and he showed them the formula, the combination of herbs that he had put together. And then in that moment, she was standing there, and of course it seemed like no one had noticed her, but at that moment he turned to her and he showed her the formula right there. And then at that moment, she was whisked back into her body, back in Sweden. Mm-hmm. Now, to me, that was an incredible story. But these are the types of experiences that I've had over the years. These are the type of they weren't normal experiences. These were like meeting Susan was not just a normal experience. She was guided, and I treat everyone that comes to me like that they are guided. They are spiritually guided to come to me. And so I give them everything. They can call me at 3 in the morning if they want. It doesn't matter. I am there for them. And so because again, this is not a job. This is my life. Interesting facts about cancer. You know, we all have cancer cells within us. They estimate something like 700,000 cancer cells every human being has within them. And cancer cells develop within our bodies all the time. But it's our immune systems that normally fight them before they develop into a disease, which we know as cancer. So in other words, if we are diagnosed as having cancer, that only means that the immune system didn't kill the body's naturally occurring cells the way it was designed to. And if you look at Dr. Hammer's work out of Germany, he's written a wonderful book on how he's found over his whole life of looking at cancer, his life devoted to understanding where cancer comes from. He found that cancer comes from trauma. We all have the cancer cells. What activates them? Trauma. And he linked them to even certain types of traumas. In women, he found that get breast cancers, he found it had to do with issues of being able to let go. A woman who had lost a mate or a child or a parent and couldn't let go, because women are like that. They're very, I was going to say much more compassionate than men, but I know men can be very compassionate also. But they experience it where they actually gave life to a child in their breast. The milk, the life-giving milk, that they give to their children. So they experience it there. So he linked the traumas to breast cancer, no matter how it's brought to you, whether it came to you through a chemical or whether it came to you through whatever means. You attracted it. You brought it to yourself in that form. And so a man who develops prostate cancer definitely has issues with intimacy. Again, all these cancers, we through traumas bring them to ourselves. So we create them. So as we create them, we discreate them. We can discreate them very, very simply. Again, a lot of it has to do with the way you think, your mind, your attitude, your thoughts. But again, sometimes you need help. You need help and that's what nature is there for. Not in a synthetic form, doesn't work. In a natural form. And so to me, I have gotten much closer to nature. I even find for an individual, there's a book out on it, it's called Earthing, but I've been doing it most of my life. Just walking barefoot on the ground can have such a regenerative effect on the human body. I've seen it on my son, he's 17 months old, when he is very tense, and he's very, very, very intuitive, and he's very sensitive. Just having him walk barefoot on the ground for 20 minutes, he's completely different. He becomes calm, and I can see his eyes change and his demeanor changes. So there's many, many ways. There's many things that we've gotten away from. A natural way of living, eating in a very natural way. Forget about, we don't need junk foods. We don't need coffee. We don't need sugars. We don't need a lot of these things that we enjoy. We don't need pizzas. These are foods that have no redeeming value in our bodies, and we don't need them. And I see all of them will change. McDonald's will change. All these fast food places, they will all change in time. It's all steps. They're baby steps. First it was all for the money. Then when you have the money, well, what do you want to do with it? Then you start to look at people, and you start to look at your foods that you've been serving them, and you will change. Every human being will have the opportunity to change and make a contribution to a healthier future, which we will all have in this glorious country, and then we will be able to teach others in other countries. Because right now, all we're teaching them is what we learned a long time ago, was how to poison ourselves. And that goes for medicine, that goes for every aspect. It will all change. It will all change.
Exactly, and I totally agree with you. I'm a true believer as well that a cancer is kind of just a physical manifestation of your thoughts, of your emotions, of your spiritual life, and of your nutritional life. And I look at it as a blessing and as a lesson for everyone that we just need to, whatever you're doing is not working anymore. It's time to change. It's time to shift. It's time to dig in. It's time to figure out what that is that can be the cause of it, and you just work through it. I mean, it's a journey. It's a process. It can be, it's up to you to choose what kind of journey it's going to be. Is it going to be path of suffering, or is it going to be path to healing? So that's why, I mean, we felt that it's one of the most important things that we need to share this information and get in touch with as many people as possible that have amazing stories like you two, and share them with the world.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, it's a gift, and you realize quickly that there's more to it than what meets the eye, especially when you hear stories like Anita Moorjani, Dying to Be Me. I don't know if you've read that book. If you have, it's an incredibly powerful book about a struggle through cancer and to death's door, and then understanding why cancer was received, and then immediately it being removed from the body because the emotional release happened and the understanding of why the cancer manifested happened. Yes. And then, these things of pure, what seems like magic, that, when we look at it from a conventional point of view, these things shouldn't happen. And then you start to think about it and realize that, hey, there are forces that we have been conditioned to not be aware of, let's say.
Dismiss.
Yeah, to dismiss. And, we've been programmed to dismiss way too much and to believe what we're told by, quote unquote authority. And that authority doesn't have your best interest in mind many times. So it's important to wash away that programming and lift the veil and see truth for what it is. And I appreciate your story about the journey of discovery and, helping all these people get through their, their struggles and, guide them in their path and journey up the mountain. So Robert, I'm wondering, what was your background before, you discovered this? What led you to it?
Well, that's the amazing part, how sometimes you're chosen to do a certain work, but your life was so completely different. When I was very, very young, even as a child, as a matter of fact, between the ages of 4 and 6, I started to tell my parents all sorts of things that, first of all, as far as health was concerned, that I would no longer need dairy, in my life. And so, of course, my parents were very open, and my mother was a healer in her own right, and so she listened, and I was no longer served dairy. And it's strange because later on I found I was lactose intolerant, and if I had been forced to take dairy or eat dairy, I would have had severe health problems. And I did certain things when I was a child between those ages, that between 4 and 6, that set me on course to travel around the world. I told my parents that I was going to see every country in the world, and of course they thought that was nice coming from a very young child, but I did. I set out as soon as I could. I was 18 years old. I set out and I started traveling, and I went to date to 64 countries, and so the world was my university, and so I experienced everything the world had to offer, but I still didn't know what my destiny was and what was coming. And my destiny is kind of twofold. I'm experiencing the first part of it right now, which has to do with serving. And the second part is going to be, which is now coming into fruition, has to do with a school, a mystical school that we have here in Nevada, and that we also have a sister school in Japan. Now these two schools are bringing forth, and this will be maybe information for another show maybe, if this is of interest to you, but we're bringing forth a method of awakening consciousness which no one else in the world is doing. And so it's very, very interesting, and people who have come here to Reno, Nevada and experienced it have gone away with just an incredible experience under their belt. It's again, it's something new, nobody else is doing it. So I didn't go to school for this. my experiences were hands-on, from being bitten by a deadly scorpion in Asia, to nearly dying on another trip, to the Orient. Every time I met interesting people that used natural therapies and started to kind of awaken this interest in me. And by the time it was like I came to Nevada just after I met this gentleman, I was ready. I was at that point where I was ready, and so this is unfolded without schooling in that sense. And then when I look back, I think maybe schooling would have maybe put blinders on me. I wouldn't have been as open as I am today to maybe working with my own skills. I'll just give you a little example of believing in yourself, and anyone can do this. And of course, I wouldn't advise it for everyone, though, until you've learned a certain bit of healing. But my wife and son came back from Japan just a couple of months ago, and they had gotten too much radiation when they were there, and so their immune systems had shut down, and they didn't know this right away. And then they got on the plane, and they're heading back. They there was a lot of people coughing on the plane, and someone, or maybe a few people, had the avian virus. And so they contacted the avian virus. By the time they arrived in Reno, they just fell into my arms. And I mean, this 102 fevers, I brought them up, put them in bed. They couldn't move. They were down. And I started working with everything I knew to stabilize them. I used, of course, homeopathics. I had spoken to my naturopath on the phone. She came over, looked at them. She said, this is pretty bad. They're in bad shape. You have to bring them to emergency right now. I said, no, that's not going to happen. I said, they are going to heal, and it's going to happen right now. And I sat down like Susan did, and I do this very often, and I said, God, give me what I need right now. And then I spoke to Susan again, and you see how people complement each other. Susan said, there's an oil, it's been used for this, and she overnighted it to me from Young Living Oils. She told me the use of it is very simple, putting it on their feet and on their chest. I put it on their feet and their chest. It's a combination of oils. Within 1 hour, I saw their aura change. I can see auras. I saw their aura change within 1 hour. Within 24 hours, that avian virus was out of their bodies completely. There was no sign that they had ever had that virus. Now, approximately 12 people in northern Nevada had died of this virus in that week that I was working with them. And just an incredible recovery. So simple, so very, very simple. Simple oils. Now, if you said that to a medical doctor, I'm going to put oils on the bottom of their feet and on their chest, what do you think he'd tell you? He'd say you're crazy. Why? A man of science cannot understand healing. And that's why there has to be, people have to come back together. People of science and people of healing have to come back together to the middle path. It's the only way we will survive in the future, into the future.
Agreed. So you didn't use the healing formula for this. You used a different.
No, they were too weakened, and it would have taken too much time. They needed something quick, immediate, because their fever was very, very high. And by the way, I broke their fever though just before the oil arrived using coffee enemas. Coffee enemas will break a fever in 5 minutes. But it also can drain a person having a fever. For that, they had already arrived with that fever. They were drained. They were totally drained, and so it needed to be immediate. And so the oils did that. They were immediate. And I recommend, and this is called RC. It's a formula from Young Living Oils. Wonderful formula. I've joined Living Oils because of the Young Living Oils. I think their oils are phenomenal. We've used others right now. We're using others, kind of testing them on ourselves and such, and they are phenomenal. They are very, very good. So there's no one formula that's a panacea, and I don't see Two Feathers Healing Formula as a panacea. I think it's wonderful for a lot of degenerative diseases. People experiment with it. We had a lady one time who ordered it, and she said she just wanted to use it as a cleanse. She actually had cataracts, and she mixed it with water, used muscle testing to test the amounts. She put it in her eyes, 2 drops in each eye each morning and 2 drops in each eye each evening. And within a short period of time, within 30 days, her cataracts were gone. So we didn't know it was good for that. Even the family that makes it didn't know it was good for that. So people experiment with it because it can't harm you. That's the nice thing about it. You can't overdose with it. It can't harm you. So people experiment. They do different things with it. And they're always giving us feedback.
Mm-hmm. So is there anyone that shouldn't use it? Because you mentioned, with the people that came to see you, you decided to go with the oils instead of this because
Yes.
it wasn't enough time. Yeah.
Well, it was the fever or something.
I would not, if I was a woman who was pregnant, I would not use the Two Feathers Healing Formula. No, it's too stimulating. Anything stimulating inside the body, I remember years ago, I was looking at a health journal, and there was a certain doctor that was on there that's now very popular, and he's on a lot of magazines. But a lady who was pregnant, and I was just getting into the health fields at that time, and she was pregnant. She asked his opinion about using this very toxic drug while she was pregnant, and because he was an MD, he said, "Oh yes, it's fine. Go ahead, use that drug." And I thought to myself, never would I do that. Never would I recommend such a toxic drug to someone who is pregnant. So it's the same with anything that's stimulating, even in a natural form. Even coffee can have an effect on, a fetus in the body. We talk about amazing things sometimes that science says. Talking about right now a lady that Susan and I met, and she has a tumor she's been working with, and due to a lot of pressure from her family, she's been going in California to one of these big cancer clinics in one of these universities. And of course, there was nothing they could do for her, but of course they were giving her all the treatments, all the scans, and this and that, but every time she went to see them, they were telling her, well, nothing really mattered because she was going to die anyway, And I thought this is so horrible to tell an individual. And on my side, I'm telling her that she is fine. She is going to live. She is fine. That she is being watched over and that she is fine. Positive thought and positive speech is so important to an individual that has cancer. To tell them that they're going to die just because scientifically you can't do anything for them, I don't think that's an answer. The last time she went in, they actually wanted to do a PET scan, and she said to them, I don't think this is very healthy to do a PET scan. You're going to put in these toxic chemicals into my body. And the head doctor, and I could not believe this, and she also mentioned this to Susan Liberty Hall, the doctor said to her, he said, it really doesn't matter. You're going to die anyway. So what he's saying is, let us make our money. Let us make our money. Let us poison your body. It doesn't really matter because you're going to die. And I thought, that is beyond understanding. I cannot understand one human being, let alone forget he's a doctor or with this. I could not believe or understand one human being telling another human being that. That to me is beyond understanding in my humble world.
Yeah. Well, we're so far gone that I kind of get it. I mean, we're so far gone that we have to use words like earthing and some kind of new technology to walk barefoot on the ground.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is definitely crazy.
Yeah. So as far as dosages for the healing formula, what would you recommend for people?
I use it once a year. I've been using it for 34 years. I've never had as much as a cold or a flu. Never happens. Of course, in my consciousness, illness does not exist. That's where I start from. That's the level I start with. Every day, I get in tune with my consciousness. I give thanks for the day, for yesterday, which is very important. And no matter if the worst things happened in the world yesterday, I don't see them. I don't remember them. I only see the good things, and I give thanks for that day. I give thanks for this day. Illness does not exist. But my dosage that I use once a year, using the paste, I use 800 milligrams once a day for 6 weeks. And we normally do 2 weeks on, 2 days off, 2 weeks on, 2 days off, 2 weeks on. So 6 weeks, 800 milligrams once a day. The 2 days we take off is to stimulate the immune system, push the immune system to be involved in the process of not only healing, but of detox. So a great detox, a great preventative, once a year, 6 weeks is phenomenal. I've even had clairvoyants use it, where they've come back and told me that their powers actually had increased. And all I could attribute to that, through my humble intuition, was that the compound draws ammonia out of the cranium. And so anyone's thinking will get a lot clearer. And so I can imagine a person who is psychic, for their powers to increase, because again, their mind, gets detoxed. Everything is working much better.
Yeah. Susan, what about you? Do you still use the formula? Is there like kind of maintenance dose that you do, or?
Thank you. Yes, I listened to everything that Robert said. So when I think about and wrote my book, and what I said in my book is, everyone who reads my book, I ask that you do this. Go to Robert and discuss with him everything. He's the one who knows about this, the best person in the world, and he's had these experiences. So I went to him, and the first thing and the most important thing I learned, which I want your audience to know, is in order to have freedom from fear and dis-ease, we have to be able to know that the program we're using in this case, and in every case in my world, 2 Feathers Healing Formula, and we need to know that it's working for us. So he suggested, instead of a PET scan that the Mayo Clinic told me they will not use because they know it causes cancer, it's too radioactive, they won't use it. So that's astounding. They gave them to my brother like pancakes on a Sunday morning. Oh, well. So the thing is, he said, you have to have something else. And he suggested the AMAS blood test. All of this is in my book, so that you can look at not only what I did, but you can see the results of my AMAS test showing, it's a simple blood test showing that I had cancer, and then every time I took an AMAS blood test, it went down. Within 2 months, it was gone, and it has remained down. So I do the AMAS blood test, in this case now, about twice a year, just so I can make sure that my body is continuing with my immune system to do well and to take care of any cancer that might be there, like anyone might have. So that's number one. I do the AMAS blood test. That gives me peace of mind. I have to have it. The other thing, too, is that when I'm doing these things, I'm listening to Robert, and he had me on. He suggested a maintenance dose, which I do now. So I'm taking about a small capsule, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And so every time I have my AMAS test, I'm down to the bottom. I mean, my AMAS test shows 0. I mean, they've never had an example like that. It was so astounding that the oncology doctor, Dr. Hamish, I think his name is, who had created the AMAS blood test, had never seen anything like my score, which was 0. So not only is it low, but they're astounded. How good is that? I mean, really, how good is that? And I wanted to say, like this precious one we were talking about, Robert and I, the one who's the doctor said, oh yeah, go ahead and have a PET scan, you're dying anyway. What difference does it make? How horrible is that? They told me that I was dying of cancer too, by the way. They pointed their finger at me, one doctor in particular, yelling and screaming at me, you're dying of cancer. Get out of here and never come back. That's what he said.
Wow.
Yeah, of course, if I'd had the mastectomy, I would have been welcomed. Thank God I wouldn't do that.
Mm.
Wow. That is crazy.
Yeah, so back to I'm a little confused about the dosages. Robert, you said that you want to take it for 6 weeks. Susan, you're taking it 2 to 3 times a week.
Person.
So, Larry, I suggest something here to help your listeners, because that is confusing. My suggestion is everybody is different. They need to talk with Robert so he can discuss with them. Every cancer is different. Every person is different. Ages, lifestyle, everything. let Robert know, and he will talk to you about something that is best for you. This is how I learned what to do, and I would recommend everyone listen to Robert. My God, what an amazing, holy man who has made himself available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Thank you, Robert.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. So I think so the 6 weeks, like if I was to take it, I'm not dealing with any challenges at the moment, then that would be appropriate for me. Yeah.
Well, let's say a person had cancer, so they go through the working with it for a time period, and then when they're satisfied with the results, they stop. And then what we normally do is that for the next 2 years, we would take it once every 6 months, and then after 2 years, it'd be maybe once a year. But a person who is just using it as a detox, as a cleanse, can really just use it once a year. That's all it's needed. It's not multi-level what we're doing. It's basically our company is a family formula, and it's a family company. And so it is used only once a year. So you're not going to get more out of it by using it 2 or 3 times a year. It is really enough for your system once a year. And I'm proof positive. I mean, myself and thousands of people that I have as clients who are have been with me for many, many years, they use it just once a year, and that's all that's needed. And I've been free of and I'm not just saying that I don't get colds or flu. I really, really, really do not get colds or flu. I can walk into a room of people, everyone's got the flu, and I can hug every person in that room, and I will not get anything from them. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you both of you. For sharing these amazing, seriously amazing stories. As you said, Susan said, and anyone wants to know a little bit more about what Robert does, about the formula itself, how to take it, get a personal consult with Robert. We will include the link below the video. And direct either a phone call, an email, and please do get in touch with Robert yourself. He will be your guide in this journey, and we will also include a link to find out more about Susan and how to get her amazing book. I ordered it. I cannot wait to read it as well. So thank you, Susan, and thank you, Robert, for doing what you guys do. Without you, this world definitely would not be the same. Without you, many of those thousands of people's lives would not have changed. So
yeah, I definitely I feel the sincerity there, and how many people in the medical community or even in the supplement business would be like, oh, just take my supplement for 6 weeks and then forget about it the rest of the time. I appreciate you both for sharing the story and doing the work that you both do. Do you have any final words that you want to share with our tribe?
Well, I do facial readings also, and so if you stay on after the call, I have just a few things I'll tell you about yourselves. It's something I enjoy doing. I've been doing it for a very, very long time. I learned it under a Japanese teacher many, many years ago, and it's whenever I'm looking at someone or talking with someone in person, I am always reading them, and without even knowing, and then I will eventually it'll come into the conversation because I guess it's part of my healing nature to want to help. So.
Well, now my curiosity is piqued.
Even more. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. I thank you for having us as guests. This has been so nice, so intimate. In the way you present it, I feel like I'm there in the room with you, and so it's very, very nice. And I enjoy anywhere I am with Susan. I met Susan just recently. I was at a health fair, and on her own, she came to my booth from a few states over. I mean, I was in Los Angeles, and she came all the way from Arizona. She said, I'm here to join you. She said, wherever you go, if you want, I will come and be in your booth with you and talk to people. I thought, my God, in 34 years, I've never had anyone do that. And I thought that was incredibly beautiful. And she is a beautiful person, a very beautiful soul. So I'm just very happy to have met her.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you. What about you, Susan? Any last words? to
Yeah,
inspire?
Robert brought up the Young Living essential oils, therapeutic grade oils. I wanted you to tell you that my life had been saved once before when I was younger, when I had been poisoned by my husband who committed suicide. And the Young Living oils had saved my life during that situation. So I had two modalities that I work with in my book. One is Young Living essential oils, and the other is the Two Feathers Healing Formula. It was those two modalities together that gave me such a profound victory over this insidious disease. So Robert is also able to talk about Young Living oils. He is incredibly interested in it because of what happened to him. These personal experiences are what gives us the opportunity to share with others. And just to finish, I just wanted to say that in Belgium recently, on February 17th, they passed legislation making it illegal to give children of all ages euthanasia. Now, they were talking about, yes, children who are terminally ill, dying of cancer. So this is what we are doing because chemo is so horrendous that we would rather kill our children than consider something else. Please, everyone, we don't have to kill our children. What's going to happen to a society that kills our own children? Please. So this works. It's absolutely the truth. And Robert, yeah, I'm here to support you because once I saw what you had done for me and I knew what my mom and my brother had gone through, I don't want anyone to ever suffer. And thank God now we get a chance to help Oksana's mother. How beautiful is that anyway?
Yes.
I'm grateful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and we look forward to sharing, our story and journey of, Oksana's mom healing, and
Yeah, we'll be documenting it all.
Yeah, and hope so we can inspire some more people. And if any of this resonates with you, we invite you to try the formulas that we talked, that Robert and Susan have talked about, and
Or just reach out. I mean, just reach out and give us your thoughts. Reach out to Susan. Share, maybe you have some stories to inspire other people as well. And get in touch with Robert and see what the possibility there. Just make sure that you tell them that you have been referred by Be Well Buzz. We just want to make sure that people that do come through this video are taken care of. Feel free to message us, comment. Make sure to also share this information as far and wide as you possibly can. This is literally can be life-saving to someone. So
thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
both.
all.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Chat soon. Thank you.
God bless you.